Welcome back, Cubs. Dire Wolf here. Today, Amanda Wolfchild and I are going to be taking on the theory of a flat Earth. Alright, Amanda, are you ready to debunk a theory that should have died over 100 years ago? I know I sure am.
Hi, Dire Wolf. Yeah, I'm ready to take on this cancer. You got the book smarts, I got the common sense. Let's do this.
Thank you, Amanda. I'm glad you're able to join me. Today, we're going to be responding to a video from the YouTuber The World We Live In, who is touting that he's found new evidence for a flat Earth. From what flat Earth videos I've seen so far, I predict he's going to base his arguments on the misunderstanding or misrepresentation of scientific principles.
Really? I think he intends to use twisted logic and a building sense of doom to make people think they agree with him.
But more importantly, the intentional ignorance of objective facts and truth. But you don't have to take my word for it. Let's hear what they have to say.
So where is the edge?
Who's to say that there is an edge, and why assume there is one? Is it because when we are introduced to the idea of a flat Earth, it's always depicted like this?
This is a reasonable question that I do hope you answer, because if you say that the Earth is flat, then there are only two logical answers to what is after the edge. Either there is no edge, and that the land is endless, or there is an edge. With either example, it seems ridiculous with all of man's expeditions into sky and space that we would never have noticed either a never-ending landmass or an edge.
In the currently most accepted model, Antarctica is not a continent, but a 360-degree landmass made up of ice that holds the oceans within. When we look at a Gleason's map from 1892 that states at the top that it's scientifically and practically correct, as is.
The Gleason's map is not a navigational map. It is a time and longitude calculator, as it clearly says at the top left. How are you going to convince us you know more about science and that you're not an idiot if you don't even read the map you're submitting for evidence? The Gleason's map was created as an educational tool for students to use before we had electronic world clocks, so they could calculate the times around the world based off of lines of longitude. Your claim that this depicts a flat Earth is patently false, and by that I mean it's proven false by Gleason's patent filed at the U.S. Patent Office. In his patent, he explains how his map is mostly accurate, except for the distortion of the distance between the longitudinal lines caused by flattening the globe. He also refers to the two magnetic poles, and flat earthers believe there's only one magnetic pole at the center of the Earth, so Gleason was not a flat earther. This is your first claim that you chose to throw at us, and it took me 2 seconds of research to debunk. It really surprises me there's thousands of people out there that believe in a flat Earth, based on really flimsy evidence like this.
There's also evidence of other civilizations' understanding of the stars and of their shape. There's this article here from the Library of Congress saying that it was understood that the Earth was round from the 5th century BC, and there's a couple other links.
We see this Antarctic ice rim. The Gleason's map is basically an azimuthal equidistant projection, which can be traced back to the year 1000. The AE map is also an official map of the United States Geological Survey, the USGS, and the official logo for the United Nations. The oldest known globe in the world is from 1492. This is something you need to keep in mind because many people argue that the azimuthal equidistant map is just a flattened out version of the globe, when in fact the globe is just a rounded version of this true world flat map. If the flat map came first and it has the ability to convert into a globe without any problems whatsoever, then that should tell you a little bit about how this globe deception was achieved.
Well, first, the map was made in 1895, not year 1000, and it does not perfectly convert into a globe because, as stated before, Gleason was forced to distort the distance between the longitudinal lines when he converted a globe into the flat map.
Now, back to if there is an edge or not. There is no proof that there is an edge past the Antarctic ice wall.
Well, to be fair, there's no proof for anything you're saying so far. Why do you need proof for this one thing in particular? I thought we were throwing the concept of proof out as soon as we started talking about a flat Earth.
But it is speculated by many that perhaps the plane that we live on is either extremely expansive or it's possibly endless. In these two scenarios, it would be logically assumed that more land is being hidden from the general public.
How? How would they be doing that? I am a pilot. How would I not know this? How would I not have seen this never-ending landscape?
In a 1954 interview with Admiral Richard E. Byrd, an American naval officer who specialized in exploration, he had this to say.
But strangely enough, there is left in the world today an area as big as the United States that's never been seen by a human being. And that's beyond the pole, on the other side of the South Pole, from Middle America. And I think it's quite astonishing that there should be an area as big as that unexplored.
Implying that there is more land past Antarctica. If that uninhabited land was on a globe, it would be in the Indian Ocean. A recent discovery of an old Buddhist map in a newspaper from 1907 seems to support the idea of a vast plain with much more land.
This map and the attached story is a hoax, created by, you guessed it, a flat earther. Link in the description.
It's more than that even. He's twisting the guy's words. He literally goes on in that interview to say he's talking about Antarctica itself, not a landmass beyond Antarctica. I'll also put the link for that video in the description.
Where does the sun go if the earth is flat?
Well, the sun neither rises nor sets, but travels in a clockwise circuit from east to west.
How? You can't just say that. You just described a motion, and there has to be a scientific principle that would govern that motion. You can't both throw out the idea of gravity, but then create a new motion with a new force and not explain it. If the sun is so close, why is it not falling? Why can't we observe it closely from the space station or a space shuttle? Why, when we observe it, it's in open space, not between the space shuttle and the Earth? And if the Earth is flat and never-ending, why is the sun and moon only circling this one small part of this never-ending Earth? That graphic you showed was so earth-shatteringly dumb, it is hard to describe with words. Please, for your sake and the sake of humanity, take a fucking physics class.
And only appears to rise and set due to perspective. The sun disappears at the vanishing point of human perspective on the horizon where the ground meets the sky, and since the sun is not 93 million miles away, I repeat, not 93 million miles away, but much closer and smaller, the light emanating from the sun only illuminates about half of the flat plane at once as it makes its daily journey.
You can make all the graphics you want. I can draw pictures too. It doesn't mean your bullshit is any more true.
What's underneath the flat earth?
This is obviously an unanswerable question since the assumed edge has never been known to be reached, but many people suppose that whether the Earth is round or flat, that either way, it still must be floating in the middle of outer space. But the idea of outer space goes out the window with the round Earth theory. Many religious texts support an immovable Earth that has its foundations on which it is laid, and its pillars by which it is supported. We simply don't know, but we do know that the Earth is obviously fixed in place as we can tell by our everyday experience of non-movement.
Wrong. Your inner ear is what allows you to sense movement, and it only senses changes in acceleration and deceleration. Check out the link in the description about how the inner ear works, but basically, if you're in a moving car that's going one direction and not changing direction, you don't feel like you're moving, you feel stationary. Even though the Earth is spinning and moving very quickly through space around the sun, and the entire solar system is moving very quickly through space in our galaxy, we don't feel difference because the speed and direction is not changing. If you're in the backseat of a car with your friend and you toss them a ball, they will be able to catch the ball won't fly off backwards. Because even though you're moving 80 miles an hour, so is the ball in the same direction.
What we see in the skies above are illuminated objects making circles around us just as it appears.
Which is completely explained in a universe where the Earth is a globe spinning through space around a sun, but completely unexplained by a flat Earth. What is the mechanism making these so-called lights spin around in a circle on a flat plane above us?
Whatever this place may be, it's the center of all we survey. Some say that the Earth is the floor of the universe. In the ancient Hebrew conception of the universe, we are surrounded by the waters above and the waters below, known as the Great Deep. The deepest hole ever drilled into the Earth was a total of about 7.5 miles. The very core of the Earth is nothing more than wild speculation, if not another malicious lie. So what's under the Earth? That remains a mystery to us all. But another thing that you can research is what's inside the Earth. Multi-billion-dollar deep underground military bases known as DUMBs, D-U-M-Bs, right?
So when you think critically through your crazy theory, you come across a logical flaw of what is below the Earth. And your answer to it is, I don't know, but look over here, military bases.
That's all he does this whole video. He just says everything you know is a lie. I don't know the truth, but I know they are lying. Look over there, conspiracy.
Saying that there's military bases underground doesn't solve the problem that you created a huge flaw that there's no answer for, unless you want to accept that the Earth is a sphere.
What about ships and boats disappearing over the horizon?
This is also due to human perspective. They don't go over the horizon, they go into the horizon, moving beyond the limit of our vision and past the vanishing point. But the ships and boats are easily brought back into view with a pair of binoculars, a telescope, and any camera with a good zoom lens.
Just because you can't see the boat go over the horizon with your naked eye doesn't mean they don't. Take that same camera, zoom in on it, and watch it till it disappears, and you'll see the horizon goes up and the boat goes down below it.
And what about all of the pictures of the Earth?
They are all clearly computer-generated images. They claim this picture from Apollo 17 in 1972 is real, and they also claim that the 2015 epic Earth picture is real. But NASA employee Robert Simon gave us a glimpse of how they do it when he shared his experience of creating the Blue Marble 2.0 in 2002. He is now called Mr. Blue Marble. He was interviewed and on record stating, "The last time anyone took a photograph from above low Earth orbit that showed an entire hemisphere, one side of the globe, was in 1972 during Apollo 17.
So there are two pictures that show an entire hemisphere of a spherical Earth. But you have a problem that every picture since then has been a combination of multiple pictures taken from satellites that can only take a small picture of the Earth because it's not far enough away from the Earth to take a picture of the entire Earth at one time. The only way to get a full picture of one hemisphere of the Earth without being further away from the Earth is to take a bunch of these pictures and Photoshop them together. This doesn't help prove your flat Earth theory. In fact, the mere fact that a satellite is orbiting a spherical Earth to collect all these pictures proves you wrong.
NASA's Earth Observing System, EOS, satellites were designed to give a checkup of Earth's health. By 2002, we finally had enough data to make a snapshot of the entire Earth, so we did.
In 2002, Blue Marble 2.0. NASA's Rob Simon made this. Simon's job is...
It's primarily taking data and making pictures out of it.
That's what this is, a composite of data sets from several different instruments translated into a picture.
So we actually had to take clouds out.
They stashed the clouds for later, went onto the ocean. That came from an instrument that measures phytoplankton in the sea.
Where it was low, I colored it dark blue because they're low mostly in mid-oceans. And then where it's a little bit higher, it was like a little bit brighter green.
Then add the clouds back in.
There's a small problem with it because there's a very slight gap in between each orbit.
So some of those are painted on.
It is photoshopped, but it's has to be.
Then
there was another layer to sort of simulate the atmosphere.
And then there's this little bright spot.
It's called the specular highlight. So it's the reflection of sunlight off of water.
Those are the pieces, but you can't just slap them all together.
It just didn't look realistic. It looks kind of flat, or the clouds are sort of too see-through. So I just hit Command Z a lot.
There's artistry to creating the world.
What I imagine it to be. Unfortunately, I'm not an astronaut. I've never been to space. But I've looked at these images over and over again, trying to sort of get the essence of it. It is photoshopped, but it's has to be.
Why are all the other planets round then?
When you compare amateur footage done with professional grade cameras and compare it to NASA's official images of planets and stars, it's clear that NASA images are all computer generated, no different than the photos of Earth.
Just because a picture is computer generated based off of available data, it doesn't mean that's not a good representation of reality. Even the amateur footage verifies the general shape and color of those planets.
What have become known as planets are round lights that seem to be set over the flat Earth.
That's just dumb. First off, they're not generating light. Just like the Earth and the Moon, they are just reflecting light from the Sun.
The so-called planets and stars are not what we have been told they are, and comparing luminous objects that you see in the sky to the Earth under your feet is very ineffective for actually proving the supposed rotundity of the Earth. Since there are no actual photographs of the Earth, and motion has never been experienced or proven.
Do I really need to point out how absurd this analogy is? Because it's pretty stupid, and I already addressed that there are pictures of the Earth and that we are moving.
It would seem more logical for one to assume that we are on a flat, motionless plane, and everything we see in the heavens revolves around us.
How is this the more logical conclusion? All the planets and black holes and asteroids we see just exist in this bubble of space above us that for some reason only encompasses our little bit of land out to the ice? But didn't you say there was more land beyond the ice? An infinite plane? So the bubble of space and lights above us are infinite as well. They just both stretch on forever, huh?
What about satellites and GPS?
As crazy as it may sound, satellites are a hoax. Have you ever wondered why there are never any damaged or fallen satellites?
There are many damaged satellites, satellite components, and spent rocket stages, and other man-made space debris currently in low Earth orbit, and occasionally this debris falls to Earth. Currently, 5,400 tons of space debris has fallen to Earth, including many satellites.
And why there are no satellite malfunctions due to constant heating and cooling? It's weird they don't melt in the thermosphere that's over 2,000 degrees.
Nothing orbits in the thermosphere. Things tend to orbit more than 6 times higher than the thermosphere. A lot of debris, but not all debris, does burn up in the thermosphere and would appear to the observer on the ground as a shooting star.
I find myself looking at the moon and wondering why we never see satellites pass by the moon.
Maybe because you can't see 200 to 300 miles with your naked eye, you dumbass.
Is outer space even real?
Yes and no. What you see in the sky, as far as stars and wandering stars, also known as planets, are there. How could we deny them?
Right? How could we deny that they're up there? But let's go ahead and deny everything else we know, because that's obviously a lie.
We don't know what they actually are, but they are there. Now, what we are told about outer space and what it is not true at all.
See, I was being sarcastic, but nope, you flat out said that. You said it, not me.
Everything we believe about so-called outer space is due mostly to Hollywood movies and other media, including children's cartoons.
Our knowledge of space is not based off of children's cartoons. It's based off the scientific discoveries of thousands of people over hundreds of years. When you foolishly reject all this scientific discovery, you realize you have no explanation for all of these natural phenomenons. You now no longer know what a planet, or what a star, or what space is, and all of it is just some hoax perpetrated by the government. Like the government is all-knowing and all-powerful, and they can create this huge deception. Rejecting this mountain of evidence and believing in a flat Earth does not make you logical, does not make you reasoned, does not make you a skeptic. It just makes you a fool.
Low Earth orbit is supposedly between 99 and 1,200 miles away. The funny thing is that they say the moon is over 200,000 miles away. How did we make it so far in the 1960s and 70s if we can't do it today?
NASA states that the Apollo flight is the only manned flight to have left low Earth orbit. That flight was very risky and not safe at all, and the crew were subjected to lots of radiation that they did have some rudimentary shielding for. There haven't been further manned missions out of low Earth orbit for two reasons. First, they want to improve the technology to make it less risky and less dangerous. And second, there's no reason to send a person, because you can send a robot to do the same thing that any person could do for much cheaper and much safer.
How is circumnavigation possible on a flat Earth?
Very easily. You can travel east and west directions to ultimately end up right back where you started. The face of the Earth looks similar to that of a clock. In fact, clocks were most likely designed after the true appearance of our world. If you follow a compass east for long enough, you'll make a full circuit. Same thing if you travel west long enough. As we've already gone over, the flat Earth map that was around before globes were easily converts to a globe, so everything you believe you are doing on a globe is actually taking place on a flat Earth.
Okay, I've had enough of this video. You can't just make ridiculous claims like this and have no evidence. How can you say that clocks are made to resemble maps that were made hundreds of years later? And explain to me how magnetic south is on the left side of the map, the right side of the map, on top of the map, and the bottom side of the map. Do you understand how magnetism works? Because that's not how magnetism works. Just like a magnet, the Earth has two poles. And even if your fucked up view of magnetism were real, how do you explain navigation by the stars, which is how nautical navigation used to be done? And navigation by the stars is based off of the complicated knowledge of the movements of celestial bodies. If ancient sailors believed that all celestial bodies, stars, and planets just circled around the center of the North Pole, they would get horribly lost. Thankfully, they, and most smart people, understand that the Earth is a sphere, the Moon orbits the Earth, and the Earth orbits the Sun. There's much more to this video, and there's many more videos like this one, but it's so dumb, it's really hard to sit through any more of it. All of their arguments are based off of not understanding or misrepresenting scientific principles. The Earth is not flat. I am surprised that in current year, we're still having this debate.
Direwolf, I have a feeling you want to skip this part because it's just so dumb. But I have to point this out.
Well then, who's responsible for this deception?
You will find that the Jesuits and the Vatican have been intimately involved in all things space, including owning the earliest telescopes and, to this day, the largest owners of observatories and telescopes in the world. The Society of Jesuits have been actively spreading the heliocentric theory for 500 years, while trying to bury thousands of years of flat Earth cosmology. The Jesuits are rulers of all powers that we are aware of, and have been ruthless in their pursuit of world domination for centuries, no matter who is killed or what has to be done to establish a one-world order out of chaos. They rule over, or are deeply partnered with, people like the Rothschilds and many other international banksters, secret societies, especially the Freemasons, as well as Zionist Jews, and especially Zionist Jews in seats of power. They rule over all the alphabet agencies and government think tanks, including the NSA, CIA, FBI, Mossad, KGB, Roundtable, Committee of 300, Tavistock Institute, Lucius Trust Publishing, Bilderberg Group, and the Council of Foreign Relations, including representative government and legislation like the US Presidency, Congress, and the Supreme Court. The Jesuit order is said to have been established by Jews, again showing that the Jews are behind some of the biggest hoaxes in history, including the Holocaust. Freemasons are also spread out all over the world to further the different agendas that serve this Illuminati elite.
Oh my god, that was so stupid. I think he just gave me brain cancer. Why did we have to watch that?
That's his basis for belief that everything is a lie. He believes in nothing. He dismisses all theories of how we came to be and offers no new ones. He uses a fear that is innate in all of us, that if we personally didn't experience it, it could be a lie. I personally say this fear is good if you use it to drive you to discover and learn new things for yourself. However, if all you do is feed into your own fears and the fears of others, you lead yourself down this crazy path that leads to hating people based on their gender, their race, their ideology, their religion. It leads people to think that everyone is out to get them, and it removes personal responsibility from themselves. So I think that this is dangerous, and it needs to be called out.
That's a great point. I guess it makes it worth the brain cells I just lost.
But that's all from me, so thanks Direwolf for having me. Thank you all for watching, and if you're watching this on my channel, go check out Direwolf. He's one smart wolf. Much love, everyone.
Thank you very much, Amanda Wolfchild, for helping me out with the video. Please check out Amanda's channel. That will be linked in the description. And thank you very much for watching, Cubs. Direwolf out.